How's it going, guys? I'm Vivi and welcome back to some Kingdom Hearts. Now about the 0.2 opening, there's something that got me confused but caught my attention at the same time. It's the fact that we see Vanitas merged with Ventus, but instead of yellow eyes, we have blue eyes. When these two merged together in Birth by Sleep, we had yellow eyes, right? But I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I first saw this, I told myself this is probably just a mistake. Come to think of it, we're talking about pre-rendered cutscenes. Why would they make a mistake? Plus, have you guys ever heard of this phrase before? Nothing in the Kingdom Hearts series is a coincidence. I think this applies to what we're seeing right now. These blue eyes, I think, represent foreshadow something. This brings me to three scenarios. Scenario number one, what we see in the opening represents Ventus and Vanitas not being fully merged successfully. And how can we explain this? Well, two major things we noticed. The blue eyes, of course, and the blonde hair. Okay, but why is Terranort normal? I mean, we have white hair, we have the yellow eyes, Xehanort took over Terra's body, but why does Ventus/Vanitas have blue eyes? Here's one thing I can think of. The point of the opening is to show what Aqua is thinking about during her adventures in the Realm of Darkness. She's simply thinking back, trying to figure out if things could have been done differently, if she could have been stronger. I mean, the whole scene foreshadows that. Look at the look on her face. She feels like she could have done something different. And of course, this scene also represents how she lost her friends. Now, why does she see Ventus with blue eyes instead of yellow? We see Terranort. Why not the same with Ventus/Vanitas? Like I said, it might represent the merge not being fully complete. Yes, technically speaking, in Birth by Sleep, the merge did happen. We had the yellow eyes and stuff like that. We had the Keyblade. However, guys, notice the jaw piece. That right there represents Vanitas. So again, it seems like their merge is not complete in the opening. And well, that's what we see. That's what I mean. Plus, think about this. Xehanort's attempt to forge the Keyblade was a failure. Ventus defeated Vanitas. So in a way, what we see in the opening represents that. It still shows how Ventus is fighting back. But what about Terranort? He looks normal. Well, his merge with Xehanort was successful. But I will talk about Terranort a lot more pretty soon. With that being said, this brings me to scenario number 2, the Wayfinders. I know this is less likely, but I still find this a bit interesting. The Wayfinders have built this bridge, this connection in their friendship. Their lights are all connected. Like Aqua said in Birth by Sleep, we'll always find a way back to each other when she handed out those Wayfinders. Also, remember this scene, guys, where Ventus and Terra's Keyblades showed up out of nowhere? Those were their lights. And we do see some light particles, plus they destroyed the dark sides. And how was that possible? Well, the Wayfinder, it reacted. Like I said, it has this connection, this bridge. Since these objects are all connected to each other, Aqua's Wayfinder was able to summon Terra and Ventus's light to pretty much save her. Okay, so now what does her Wayfinder have to do with Ventus/Vanitas? How can it explain the blue eyes? Well, since all of their lights are connected, what we see in this scene right here is Ven's light, hence the blue eyes and blonde hair. Yes, we do see them fighting in the opening, but these Wayfinders can only do so much. And this brings me to Terranort yet again. Why isn't this Wayfinder able to project Terra with his brown hair and normal eyes? This brings me to something mentioned by Sora Alum 1. Remember the exclusive conversation between Namine and Terra during the First Breath concert? Here's what happened. Right now, you're bound by two sets of memories. One is your own memories, the other is that of a very dark power. Later on, Namine explained that soon you'll be touched by familiar light. Please guide her so that she isn't confused by the darkness. Now, I think we did see this in the trailer. When Terra is talking to Aqua, that could perhaps be Terra's light guiding Aqua. Maybe the same can be said for Ventus, but Ventus is quiet, that's the thing. Maybe the Wayfinder also has something to do with this. I mean, we do see Ventus a few times in the trailer. It could be guiding her as well. Now back to Terranort. This very dark power Namine mentioned. She's talking about Xehanort, right? I think it could explain why we see Terranort instead of Terra with his normal brown hair and eyes. Instead of that, we have the yellow eyes and the white hair. And talking about this, we did see Terranort taking over Terra in the trailer, while this dark power taking over Terra's light. So now we move on to scenario number 3. This whole situation with the 13 darknesses. The Keyblade coexisted with Kingdom Hearts, split into 13 pieces of darkness and 7 of lights, according to Xehanort. So his plan is to reforge the Keyblade properly this time. His first attempt with Vanitas and Ventus was a complete failure. So what this scene in the opening could represent is perhaps one of the members of the 13 darknesses. And I'm talking about Terranort. So the blue eyes we see of Ventus Vanitas/Vanitas could perhaps represent that this version will not be part of the 13 Darknesses. And what do I mean by this? Well, regular Vanitas, I think, will be part of the 13 Darknesses, not the version we see right here. This also brings me to the scene we saw in Dream Drop Distance, which also could foreshadow this. Have you guys noticed how Xemnas and Ansem are always following young Xehanort around? We can say they're both Xehanort, right? They have this strong connection. But young Xehanort is also messing with the timeline, so Ansem and Xehanort following young Xehanort, I guess it makes sense. Anyways, we did have a scene of Vanitas next to young Xehanort, so I'm assuming that could represent another member of the 13 Darknesses. Now, for those of you who got a bit confused during this scene, according to an old interview of Nomura, Ven's heart reacted in the presence of Xehanort. We're pretty much seeing a memory, let's say. So why would Xehanort choose regular Vanitas over the other version? Simple. Regular Vanitas has no connection to Ven. He's a separate mind and a separate being. Having the other version with the failed Keyblade would be a huge risk. Ven might decide to suddenly take control and pretty much ruin his plans. But that's just me, that's just what I think. Maybe both versions might be part of the 13 Darknesses. Okay, let's assume regular Vanitas was part of the 13 Darknesses. How could we tell? Vanitas already has yellow eyes. Now, some people might say yellow eyes represents darkness, but I don't think that's the case. Maybe Vanitas was already half Xehanort. We don't know that. That has never been confirmed, but I'm just saying. I think the only way we'd be able to tell whether or not Vanitas is part of the 13 Darknesses is the black organization robe. Yes, we did have Ansem without his robe, but in the end, Ansem had a black robe. So I think the same might apply for Vanitas. So yep, this is it for the video, guys. Tell me what you think. Do you think that the blue eyes represent anything? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I've been Vivi, and thanks for watching.